Don't keep watching if you only want to hear something comforting. But before you leave, ask yourself, did you wake up last night because of a sound or because your soul had just been called by name? Because what I'm about to say will make your soul shiver. Last night, a woman fell into darkness, not because you cursed her, but because she once longed to see you collapse, because she manipulated things behind your back with acts no one dared to name aloud. If you're a Sagittarius and your heart is racing as you hear these words, then your arrival here is no accident. The universe chose this moment to reveal what you've always felt, but never could explain with logic. And if you stay until the very end, you will understand why the light within you was the very thing that saved you, and why she, the one who tried to end you, was the first to fall. Leave a comment. I was born to survive and to triumph. Because this affirmation isn't just a phrase, it is the way you activate a shield of light for your soul, from this lifetime into the next. So who is this woman, really? And what in the star chart has made Sagittarius, with your untamable heart and a light that cannot be hidden, the target of someone else's shadow? Whenever a soul carrying the mission to illuminate walks into the world, there's always someone in the dark trying to stop them. The answer isn't in the rumors, it's in the very planet that's casting its light directly into your house of destiny, right now. Breathe deeply, because what you're about to hear will make you never see those around you the same way again. There are nights you wake up with no explanation, no sound, no nightmare, no memory, just a strange sensation, as if someone had quietly stepped away from your bed and you didn't turn your head in time to catch them. Sagittarius, if that has ever happened to you, know this: you are not imagining things. You are being warned. Under the light of the most recent full moon, shining directly into your zodiac sign, an invisible gateway has opened. And what you've been feeling, that unease, that sleeplessness, that subtle inner calling, is not a coincidence. Some people lose sleep because of stress, but you lose sleep because your soul is being touched. When the moon goes retrograde in opposition to the 12th house, the place that hides everything we don't want to see, it doesn't just expose the shadows of the world around you, it also drags back the emotions you've buried deep inside. And if lately you felt that something isn't right, you're not wrong. Someone who once appeared as a friend, a relative, an ally, has silently sent you a kind of energy you never deserved. Not a curse from a fairy tale, but those envious stares, those half-hearted congratulations, and those thoughts that, if you could hear them, you would never allow that person into your home again. I used to believe that if I lived kindly, I wouldn't get hurt, but sometimes the light within us is the very thing others want most to extinguish. Have you noticed? A dream keeps returning. The same setting, the same face, the same feeling of being trapped. That's not a dream. That's memory. The 12th house is the prison of past lives, of unfinished soul contracts, of ghosts that never left. And you, Sagittarius, under the influence of trine Neptune and Black Moon Lilith, are being pulled back to the place where your soul was once bound, so that this time you can walk out. Maybe you've never told anyone, but you felt it. The feeling of someone staring at you from behind, or being in the middle of something, only for your intuition to whisper, someone is interfering, not with their hands, but with their intention. You didn't see anyone walk into that room, but you felt the cold that lingered before the light came on. Lilith, the queen of shadow in astrology, is standing behind every door you've just opened, not to block you, but to whisper, don't grow anymore. She is present, strongly, in your 12th house right now. This is the time when those who pretended to love you will start showing their true face. Even if they don't speak it, you will feel it. The truth is, the person trying to manipulate you is not far. She once praised you, she once hugged you. She might have borrowed something she never returned. She saw something in you, something she could never own. Freedom, faith, the ability to rise after every fall. Prompt for reflection. Have you had any strange dreams lately? A single image that woke you in the night without knowing why? One of the most beautiful illusions of Sagittarius is the belief in goodness within everyone. But a retrograde moon doesn't allow you to lie to yourself anymore. Because if you keep closing your eyes, the one manipulating you will believe you truly see nothing. And the most dangerous thing, is silence when you know the truth. Forgiveness does not mean permission. You can say, I'm grateful for the lesson, but I was not born to be the container for anyone's harm. Then walk away, leaving a trail of light behind your steps. And light doesn't need to be sacrificed to prove it is light. Feeling exhausted even when you haven't done much? Getting chills when someone mentions your name? Suddenly no longer wanting to be in places that once made you feel safe? That's how energy tells you. You are being watched, not with eyes, but with intent. She, that woman, might have started with admiration, but slowly it turned into obsession, and you, even without fully knowing, have been carrying an unexplainable unease. Have you ever felt as if your soul was screaming, while everyone around you kept smiling? If you're here now, if you're still listening, then some part of you is finally ready for the truth. Leave a comment. I choose to see the darkness so the light within me can be free. Not to prove anything, but to send a signal to the universe. You, Sagittarius, have awakened. But the scariest part isn't the dreams, it's the truth you're about to uncover about the one sending them, and why she chose you among millions of souls to do this. We will look into the birth chart, where every true intention leaves a mark. Hold your heart, Sagittarius, because the next truth won't be easy to swallow. Not everything sweet is a sign of love, and not everyone who smiles at you wants you to be happy. There is a type of person who enters your life like a gentle breeze. She listens, compliments, always seems to be there when you're tired. She gives you advice, blessings, even hugs. But in the silence, where you don't notice, she plants seeds of doubt. Not to make you trust her, but to make you start doubting yourself. Maybe you never dared name it. Because society teaches us someone who cares about us couldn't possibly be a threat. But astrology is not so quiet. The birth chart, with its silent but profound movements, has already recorded this clearly. That woman, she's not just a person. She's the embodiment of a specific energy. Mercury ex Lilith retrograde Venus. When opposing Sagittarius, she might be a best friend, a sister, someone who always shows up at just the right time. No clear signs for you to say, I'm being manipulated. Because she doesn't use knives, she uses words as sweet as slow poison. She makes you believe you're too emotional. She often says, I'm just worried about you. And after a few conversations, you find yourself doubting your own intuition. You stop sharing your dreams. You dim your own light, so no one calls you delusional. Have you ever thought that maybe you became a target simply because you were too kind? When Mercury, planet of words and thought, goes retrograde or stands in opposition to your Sagittarius sun, especially combined with Black Moon Lilith, it creates a form of subtle communication with hidden motives. People carrying this kind of energy may not even realize they're manipulating you, but they can't stand that you're loved naturally. They can't stand that your light draws others' attention while they remain unseen. Some people don't hate you because you're wrong. They hate you because you're right, in a way they'll never be. In the charts of double-faced individuals, when Venus is retrograde, especially in the 7th or 11th house, you'll see a twisted emotional pattern. Love is no longer about giving, it's about control. Friendship is no longer about companionship, it's about surveillance. That woman, she might have genuinely liked you at first, but when she saw you flying high, she started pulling strings, not because she wanted you to fall, but because she couldn't bear being left behind. And so, compliments turn into comparisons. Advice becomes subtle criticism. And every time you shine, she quietly disappears, only to return the moment you fall. I used to think that as long as I didn't harm anyone, no one would want to harm me. I used to believe that every hand extended toward me came from kindness. But light, especially the light of Sagittarius, can't afford to stay naive forever. Because light, over time, becomes a lantern for the lost, and those who walk the wrong path cannot bear its presence. Never feel guilty for revealing someone's shadow just by being in the light. That's not your fault, that's their choice. Feeling small around someone? Constantly explaining your personal decisions? Being told to give up on what makes you glow? Hearing, I'm just worried about you. But then comes a comment that belittles you? If you recognize yourself in these lines, you are not alone. And the most powerful thing is, you're starting to awaken. If your soul is sensing something you can't yet name, let a single sentence send the message to the universe. Leave a comment. I no longer shrink myself. I was born to expand and soar. Because when you write that, you are declaring the light in you no longer needs permission to shine. Do you know that sometimes the person who makes you doubt yourself the most is the very one who has been silently manipulating you all along? But Sagittarius was not born to be a victim. You are the one who carries the symbol of truth. And when a truth has been buried for too long, it will speak, even if no one wants to hear it. And right now, the universe is beginning to expose what you were once too afraid to face. Stay calm, Sagittarius, because she has made her move. But you are not alone. An ancient soul has been standing by your side from the very beginning, and soon you will witness how the light intervenes when darkness thinks it has already won. Have you ever asked yourself, why me, among so many others, was the one chosen to endure the pain? Why the injustice, the jealous glances, the whispers behind my back always seem to find their way toward me, even though I never intended to hurt anyone? Sagittarius, the answer doesn't lie in your actions. It lies in the nature of your soul, born with a light not everyone can bear. Astrologically, Sagittarius is the 9th sign of the zodiac, the symbol of journeys, truth, and ultimate meaning. You don't just live, you search for why you're alive. You don't just exist, you yearn to understand why your soul came to this earth, at this exact time, with these exact lessons. And it is that very nature that makes you hard to manipulate, hard to hold back, hard to fit into anyone's mold. Light doesn't need to do anything to create enemies. Sometimes, its mere presence is enough to threaten the dark. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, the largest planet in the solar system. It represents expansion, belief, higher wisdom, and above all, justice. So unlike others, Sagittarius cannot live in pretense. You feel pain when forced to live in untruth. You feel lost when silenced in unjust environments. You become ill, mentally, spiritually, physically, when surrounded by people who only want you to stay where they can accept you. And because of that, those who want everything in their control will see you as a threat. You're not hated because you're wrong. You're hated because your light makes it impossible for others to keep pretending. Here's a hard truth. Some souls don't truly want happiness. They just want everyone around them to be like them, limited, small, and stuck in loops. And when you, a Sagittarius, walk in with questions like, why do we have to accept this? Maybe we can be different, can't we? You don't just touch their fears, you activate the shame they've buried long ago. Because you are living proof that change is possible. That truth, though painful, is still worth walking into. That freedom, though it costs, is still worth dreaming about. Do you know why you're hated? Not because of what you did, but because you dared to be the first to walk out of the cage everyone else is pretending doesn't exist. When a soul stays trapped in fear for too long, they forget how to love. They only know how to hold on. They forget how to listen. They only know how to control. Sagittarius, you represent what they fear most. A person who doesn't need approval to live authentically. A person who doesn't need to keep others close just to feel worthy. A person who can still smile and keep walking even after being betrayed. That's not something easy for them to look at, but it is your destiny. There will always be someone who dislikes you. Not because you're not good enough, but because you're too free to be conditioned. There will always be someone who wants to see you fail. Not because you're wrong, but because they can't stand that you succeed without them. And there will always be someone who pretends to love you, just to keep you small enough for them to control. You weren't born to please anyone. You were born to remind the world that freedom is real. If you've ever felt like your light made others uncomfortable, don't apologize. Don't shrink. Don't dim. Leave a comment. I don't apologize for my light. I was born to shine. When you write that, you're not just declaring a truth. You're sending a signal to others like you, those who are also trying not to be extinguished. And if you're still here, if you're still listening with an open heart, then you are ready to hear the most important thing, that you are not the only one who knows this truth. An ancient soul, a sacred woman, saw what you couldn't face, and she was the one who pulled you back from the edge of destruction. But she didn't come just to save you. She came to return something to you, something she once tried to steal, your divine power. And once you realize that, everything will begin to shift. Not every attack is loud. Not every enemy reveals itself. Some curses don't need spells, no candles, no ritual circles. They just need a photo of you, a toxic thought, and a person broken enough to turn envy into manipulation. No one knows, no one sees, but you feel it. That period where you couldn't sleep in peace, waking in the middle of the night with a pounding heart and no reason, yawning constantly, even after a full night's rest. Losing motivation, everything you once loved suddenly feels distant. You find yourself falling, quietly, with no one to catch you. And you begin to wonder, what is happening to me? But you can't find the answer in your planner, in your food, in your family, because it's not coming from outside. It's coming from energy, locked, manipulated, from afar. There is a kind of exhaustion that doesn't live in the body, but in a deeper layer, where your soul is being tied down by someone with an invisible string. In astrology, the 8th house holds all soul contracts, secrets, power, and manipulation. When a powerful planet crosses your 8th house, especially Pluto or Lilith, your energy can be blocked. Not because you are weak, but because someone is trying to keep you from shining. And that person, she doesn't need to know astrology. She only needs to know one thing. She cannot bear to see you still admired, still rising, still being called the one who inspires. So then, one day, in a small room, under candlelight, or in the midst of whispers, she places your photo out. Not to bless you, but to stop you. What people like her don't understand is this: the universe does not run on envy. The universe does not respond to prayers born from jealousy. The universe protects those who remain true to the light within them. And in the moment she tried to break you, something very small happened. But it was enough to change everything. A dream. A voice in your head whispering, "Stand up." A sudden call from someone you hadn't heard from in years. An opportunity arriving just as you were about to give up. She tried to manipulate with your image, but the universe saw the real light inside your heart and chose to protect that. You don't need to fight back. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to expose her, because everything she sent will return to where it came from. That is the law of the universe, older than any ritual, stronger than any jealousy. You may not see it immediately, but a time will come when she becomes trapped in the very things she created. Shattered relationships, anxiety without source, a feeling of being left behind, even while surrounded by people. Justice doesn't need to be loud, it only needs time. And your silence is sometimes the clearest declaration. If you feel these words touching your soul, if you've ever found yourself in a fog, not knowing why your motivation disappeared, then maybe you were never weak. You were simply being pulled by a string you couldn't yet see. Leave a comment. I choose light, not retaliation. Because this isn't just a phrase. It is the soul's declaration of a Sagittarius returning to their path, stronger than ever before. But this is not the end. Because light may survive the night, but to truly shine, it must be seen by someone who once witnessed your darkest hours. There is someone, not her, but a soul far more ancient, who has been watching you from the very beginning. And this person is about to send you a clear sign. You've made it through. Now it's time to receive. There were moments you thought you'd collapse. No one beside you, no one who understood, no hand to hold. You lay there in the dark with questions echoing endlessly. Why me? How much longer must I fight? Is anyone hearing me? But still, you did not fall. Even in exhaustion, you rose. Even in pieces, you moved. Even with tears still fresh, you smiled at the world the next morning. Have you ever wondered why you're still standing? It's not because you're stronger than everyone else, but because someone, somewhere, knelt in prayer for you. From a realm you cannot see. Maybe you've never met her in this life. Maybe no one in your family ever mentioned her. But she has known you since before you were born. She doesn't bring noise from the world. She arrives in the quietest moments, when you wake up at 3 a.m. without knowing why. She doesn't need to speak. She is presence itself, like the scent of agarwood in a dim room. She doesn't frighten you. She lifts you up. From the very parts you stopped believing were yours. You did not fall, not because you are strong, but because someone knelt in prayer for you from another plane of existence. If in your birth chart, the North Node, the point of destiny, touches your moon or Ceres, you are among the rare souls blessed with unconditional love from a feminine spirit of ages past. This is not just an ancestor. She was a woman who once fell because no one stood up for her. And when she saw you walking the path she once walked, she would not allow you to end the way she did. She may have been your great-grandmother, a sacred nun in your lineage, a gentle spirit once forgotten, but now she has returned, not to demand from you, but to guard your light from being extinguished again. She lived in silence, loved without being loved in return, was called strange, too sensitive, too dreamy. But you, Sagittarius, are the continuation of her story. You lived the life she once dreamed of, a life she never had permission to hold. And that is why she will never leave you. If you've ever felt you survived, without knowing who helped you, if you've cried in the night only to feel a strange sense of peace afterward, if you've sensed someone stand behind you when no one was there, leave a comment. I do not walk alone. The old light leads me. By writing that, you confirm a belief. You open the door to reconnect with a sacred bloodline, one that was never broken. And when she reveals herself, when that ancient woman steps out of the mist to stand beside you, what will come next? What will you receive from the hands of a soul who never gave up on you? Soon, a very special gate will open, and she will leave you a sign to mark. This is the moment you reclaim what was once taken. There are falls that make no sound, no blood, no tears, just a widening emptiness between two people who once were close. An unanswered message. A relationship gone silent as if it never existed. That is how the universe exposes the manipulator, not with scandal, but with quiet disintegration of their power. In astrology, when Pluto is retrograde, especially in the 7th or 8th house, toxic connections begin to crumble from within. Pluto does not warn, it destroys. Saturn does not yell, it strips power. And Uranus? It flips every belief you once held as sure. She, the one who controlled you with emotion, who planted doubt in silence, now begins to falter. Everything she manipulated turns against her. Those who once believed her start to leave. Relationships built on a facade of kindness grow cold and empty. Have you ever heard someone fall and your soul felt lighter even though you didn't celebrate? When someone uses energy to control, the universe gives them a set time. Not because it is tolerant, but because it watches. And when the truth becomes clear, when what was hidden in darkness begins to rot, all camouflage collapses. She doesn't lose everything at once. She falls slowly, link by broken link, closed door by closed door, call by unanswered call. No one can manipulate forever what is built from light, and no falsehood, no matter how artful, can stand against the tide of truth. If you've ever felt someone losing their power over you, remember, this is not revenge. This is soul justice being carried out. Leave a comment. I choose to release the false, to keep faith with true light, because you don't need to prove someone wrong. You only need to walk away without carrying anything that wasn't yours to begin with. And when one gate closes, another gate opens. This time, that gate opens not just for you, but for a generation waiting to be healed. Because your soul has been freed, and true light is finally about to be restored. You were not chosen for revenge. You were not kept here to prove right from wrong. You were chosen, not to survive, but to ensure others don't fall like you almost did. You are the living memory of something believed lost. Light, after all, always finds a way home. You were retained because your story of triumph will become a guiding torch for those still wandering. The universe did not call your name for survival. The universe called your name to awaken souls who thought they were invisible. Light does not fight. Light only shines, and darkness eventually retreats. You don't need to respond. You only need to continue living with an intact heart and unbreakable faith. Because Sagittarius, you were born to open a new gate, not just for yourself, but for those who have not dared to cross their own boundaries. Share this video if what you heard today touched the depths of your being. Because light only truly grows when it is shared. If you feel this is true for you, share this video so your light can reach farther. Thank you, Sagittarius, for staying with us to the end of this journey. Not everyone has the courage to listen to truths that resonate with their soul. But you did. And because of that, you are not the same. You are not alone. You never were. And now, because you have overcome, The light inside you will become a guide for others. If your heart trembled at any point in this journey, leave your soul's declaration, "I am ready to step into my true destiny." And share this video, not only to spread the light, but to tell others, they are not the only ones awakening. I am ready to step into my true destiny. Share this video so your light doesn't stop here, but continues to live in the hearts of other souls waiting to awaken. The universe chose you. Now it's your turn to choose yourself. Thank you for existing. Thank you for never giving up. Thank you for being you.